Hey YouTube, this is Steve from Average Joe's Fantasy Football, and we are here with another mock draft video to help you guys out with the upcoming NFL season. Again, NFL is just about here with the Hall of Fame game and of course preseason, which means mock drafts and of course actual drafts are starting to happen, so let's jump right into it. All right, so as you can see here, I am in the 6th spot of a 12-team league. Again, this is going to be a full PPR, not super flex, tight end premium, or anything like that, with 2 wide receivers, a flex, and so on. So for me, I've got to obviously try to aim for a top wide receiver, which is probably what's going to be in the 6th round, being right in the middle of the draft, or possibly grabbing a running back or something like that. I am a big traditional fan of hero running backs, so let's see how this draft goes. Now, in the first few picks, you're going to see Chase, Bijan, Barkley, right? Jefferson, those are typical. And then you start to see some other players going there. Now, looking at this, Neighbors going in the 5th spot's a little bit of a reach for me. I'm glad he went there because that allows me to get a running back like Jahmyr Gibbs in the 6th spot. You could go wide receiver like CeeDee Lamb, who's another really good spot there. I love him at the 6th if Gibbs is taken first, which most likely will happen. Gibbs is probably going to go before CeeDee Lamb. I would easily grab CeeDee Lamb there. Now in the 2nd round, you're going to see a lot more of the running backs starting to go because a lot of traditional drafts, you'll start seeing those either maybe a team getting 2 running backs or maybe they're getting their first running back if you didn't get one in the first. So I did get a running back in the first. So typically I will try to aim towards possibly a wide receiver, maybe another running back if I can. Now, being that I've got Bucky Irving available, I can't pass that up. Even though the offense is going to be a little different with Cohen gone, I still think Bucky Irving's a solid running back too with potential weeks of RB1 type of performance. So I'm going to go grab him there. You will see quarterbacks like Lamar and Allen going. And again, if you can get a quarterback like that who's going to put up some phenomenal astronomical points, then yeah, you want to try to grab them a little bit early. I don't mind grabbing my quarterback later because again, I'd rather get some of my premier positions. Now, had I not got Bucky Irving and known Chase Brown would have fallen in the 3rd, I would have gone that route and got maybe a receiver like McConkey or Smith and Jigba, but I don't regret the pick of Bucky Irving. Now, I do want to get my wide receiver because I don't have one at the current spot. And between these players that I'm looking at as far as the wide receivers go, Garrett Wilson is in the best spot for me because 1, he's reunited with his quarterback from college. 2, he's going to get plenty of targets. There's not a lot of great options on the outside of Garrett Wilson. And so the target share is going to be high and heavy, and I love that for him, which has really good top 15 potential. Not going to be a wide receiver 1 every single week, but he's going to have games like that will help you win. Now, I do want to solidify even more positions. I've got the flex position where I can solidify with Kenneth Walker. Again, getting a really solid, running back. I do need to fill some flex. And of course, maybe using him as trade bait later on. I can go wide receiver, but I still feel like I can get a wide receiver like Zay Flowers, Xavier Worthy, something like that in the 5th round. So I'm going to go and grab Kenneth Walker here in the 4th because, again, an absolute steal who is a top potential running back 1 with a lot of, obviously, RB2 upside there. Now you're going to see some of the wide receivers going. The tight end position is starting to pick up a little bit more. Again, tight end, it's a little bit of a risk. I'll try to grab one a little bit later. If there's a tight end premium, obviously you're grabbing one as soon as possible. So got my running backs pretty much set there, even with bye weeks, injuries, things like that. I love the 3 that I've got. I am going to obviously go wide receiver here. And looking at the wide receiver options, Zay Flowers, Jameson Williams. You can even get Tatura McMillan, great option. Maybe take the risk in the rookie as well and Travis Hunter. I'm going to go and grab Zay Flowers because I think he's in a good spot. He played really, really well last season, and he's only getting better. He was one of my favorite players coming out of college a couple years ago, and I really wanted him to go to Dallas as a Cowboy fan. Did not fall there, but again, really solid wide receiver, and I love him there. Obviously, now, this is where things start to get a little bit different in the 6th round. You want to get depth. You want to get a tight end possibly. This is where you want to get the best player available. You could go the quarterback route. If a quarterback is still available, that I would say is worth the risk. Patrick Mahomes is gone. I wouldn't go grab Baker Mayfield. I don't see him replicating his 41 touchdown season that he had last year. He's probably still going to be very solid, don't get me wrong, but I'm not going to reach there. I do want to get a player that I can obviously have some upside and, of course, be a stud week in and week out in certain aspects. And looking at those players, I've got Calvin Ridley, who I really like. I think there's some upside there. Love Jerry Jeudy. We'll see what the quarterback situation looks like, but I love him. I could possibly, it's a bit of a reach, I could possibly get Jerry Jeudy the 7th. He'll probably be gone by then. Even though I've got all 3 of my running backs and I don't necessarily need another one, it's hard to miss and grab a player like Aaron Jones. Yes, they've got Jordan Mason. Yes, they're probably going to use Jordan Mason a little bit. I think this offense is going to utilize Aaron Jones as long as he's healthy. Again, really solid flex player that I can possibly put into my lineup if needed. Now, I will stop grabbing the running back position unless you're trying to use them as trade bait. It's not necessarily a strategy you want to always go for because not everyone's going to go and grab and trade for you. So, with that said, yes, best player available is a good way to go, but you still need to fill those positions that are available on your roster. Yes, I got my 2 starting wide receivers, but I need some flex plays sometimes. I need some backups, bye weeks, things like that, because I got still 4 bench players, obviously a tight end and quarterback to go, and then, of course, kicker and defense. Now, looking at the options at the wide receiver position, you've got Deebo Samuel, you've got Rome Odunze, Jacoby Myers. We'll see how that plays out. So really, some really good options. I'm going to take a little bit of a reach here, but I like the option of grabbing Deebo Samuel here for the Washington Commanders. We're not sure what's going on with Terry McLaurin. Samuel looks pretty good so far this offseason. I know people are kind of making fun of him, but he actually looks really good. I am not like losing this hype of, I don't know what's going on, why people are bashing him, but I like him there. And I think a really good spot as my 3rd wide receiver. Now in the 8th, 9th, 10th, and so forth. Again, best player available. You want to get a player who's going to have some upside. Now, you could go quarterback here. Kyler Murray is a good option. Good rushing ability. You got a player like him. You got Jared Goff. Maybe I want to pair him up a little bit with Jahmyr Gibbs. Some good options there. I still want to grab another wide receiver. Maybe I got my tight end here like David Njoku, who I really love, in a good spot. I even think there's some upside in Tyler Warren. We'll see how he's utilized in Indianapolis. But I like some of the players that I've got here. You've got Travis Etienne if you needed another running back. In this case, I'm not in need of that. Both Green Bay wide receivers are in good position. I actually like Matthew Golden a lot. I think he's in a really good spot. But I'm actually going to grab my tight end here and grabbing David Njoku because I think he's going to be hard to get in the 9th round. And I really want to get a good, solid tight end who has really good upside. And he's going to have some down weeks. I get that. But Njoku is a really solid tight end who has really big game potential. Now, I've got 3 more bench players to go. My kicker, defense, and of course, I've got to get the quarterback position. Now, the quarterback position is quite a few players still that are worth it. Dak Prescott, I think, has got really good upside. You got a player like maybe J.J. McCarthy has a really good season with the 2 wide receivers on the outside. You've got Caleb Williams, maybe with, Brian or Ben Johnson now. Maybe that's going to change for him. So really good options there. And then you're looking at wide receivers. I love Josh Downs here. I know he's not been an absolute stud, but I think he's worth a late round pick in the 9th because, again, he's going to have some upside games. We're not sure how Anthony Richardson's going to be. We don't even know if it's going to be Danny Dimes playing quarterback. There's a lot of uncertainty when it comes to the Colts, but I really like Josh Downs there. I will go and grab a backup running back. I know I don't have to, but with Kenneth Walker being on my team, I do want to handcuff him to Charbonnet. Walker's not necessarily a injury prone running back, but he's definitely somebody that has potential with some injuries, and I'd rather grab his backup. Now I've got to get my quarterback here in Dak Prescott. I love him here. I think this is a really good spot for him. He has top 5 potential, especially if he's healthy. The offensive line looks pretty good, even though there's already an injury so far this minicamp. But he's got Pickens, Ferguson, CeeDee Lamb. I mean, the offense is going to be really off the charts, and I love that for this team. Now, I'm not a big fan of grabbing a backup tight end. You don't need a backup tight end. You're more than willing to grab another player, grab your tight ends, waive them, pick them up waivers, things like that. So you can obviously put a player like Likely on your team if you really want to. Again, for me, I'm going to hold off and leave the tight ends on the waivers to grab later on. There are some league mates I have been a part of in teams that they love to pack and pile up on some tight ends if possible. I get it. Tight ends were a lot harder to have on your team that had some good points. There are a lot better tight ends than there ever was before. So again, don't go that route. I am going to go a route, again, best player available, maybe a certain position you want to fill. Now, looking at the positions here, I can go another running back. Don't necessarily need it, but you got, Austin Eckler maybe. You got Trey Benson, really good spot. Tyler Algier, right? Jerome Ford, we're not sure with Judkins. Or you go wide receiver. Rashad Bateman, I really love. I think he's in a good spot. Maybe you want to get a Jalen McMillan. I know Ibuka is there. Maybe McMillan kind of gets pushed aside, but I think he's, again, someone you may want to consider. Of the players here, Rashad Bateman's in the best particular spot to have some upside games. Especially if an injury ever were to occur to Zay Flowers, Bateman is in a really good spot, and he played really, really well last season. Now I'm going to grab my kicker here because, again, kickers really matter. They have the potential of winning some games, big games for you. So you want to get a kicker that's on a good powered offense, but also has some times where he maybe needs a little extra kick. So I'm going to go grab the Buffalo Bills kicker and Tyler Bass. That offense will put up some points, and they may have some drives where they kind of burn out, and you need Bass in there to kind of finish it up. So I really love that spot. Of course, defense, this is a little tricky. These are things you're going to be probably going throughout the whole season. I'm a big fan and proponent of picking up based off of matchups. You don't necessarily keep a defense unless they're absolutely just phenomenal, which there are a few. It happens every single season. But for me, you want to get a good solid defense now, but then you'll probably rotate them throughout the season. And look at the options here. I really love the Houston Texans. I think they're a really top defense in a really bad division. They're not in a tough one, so I really like the Texans there. So let's talk about how this really went and what your thoughts and my thoughts are. So that is my 6th spot of a 12-team league in a full PPR edition. Now, of course, my draft will be a little bit different, but hopefully this kind of helped you get some insight of how and where these players are falling. Maybe some are rising, maybe some are dropping down. You can see where the good value picks are. And of course, my strategy as far as the first 3 rounds. You typically will win in either your first 2 rounds and of course those sleepers in the last few rounds of your draft. That's what's going to help build a really successful team for the rest of this season. Now, of course, make sure you guys are mock drafting as much as you can. And of course, subscribe to the channel as well. We're putting out a lot more content coming forward. Of course, there's going to be dynasty content, mock drafts, and of course, we'll be doing our start and sit videos really soon. So don't forget to subscribe, like that video, and I'll check you guys out next time.